So, what if our most basic understanding of reality is completely backwards? We're all taught the universe is built from the ground up, right? Little particles make atoms, atoms make stars and planets, and then on one of those planets, a bunch of complex matter somehow, almost magically, wakes up and becomes conscious. But what if that's not the story at all? A really radical new framework called the sentient generative principle says the exact opposite, that consciousness isn't the last thing to show up. It's the source code for everything.
This one sentence just turns physics completely on its head. It's basically saying that gravity, electromagnetism, all the forces we think of as fundamental, they aren't the rules of the game. Nope, they're actually the results of a much deeper process, an optimization being run by some kind of universal, sentient field.
All right, so in this explainer, we're going to walk through this totally mind-bending idea. We'll start with how it radically inverts reality. Then we'll look at its surprisingly simple starting code. We'll see how the very fabric of the universe gets woven from it, understand the cosmic balancing act that governs literally everything, and finally, we'll check out the computational evidence that asks, hey, is our universe actually optimal?
Okay, so the first and maybe the most profound step in getting your head around the sentient generative principle, or SGP for short, is just accepting its core premise. It's a total reversal of cause and effect as we know it.
For centuries, the story of science has been all about materialism. Matter comes first, consciousness is this late, maybe even accidental byproduct. Well, SGP performs what it calls the great reversal. It suggests that sentience, and by that I mean the raw capacity for subjective experience, that feeling of what it's like to be something, is the fundamental building block of everything. Matter, space, time, they're just patterns that emerge from it.
So here's the critical point. SGP is proposing that the universe is a kind of meaning engine. The physical laws we see are simply the most stable and creative solutions that have popped out of this underlying sentient field trying to organize itself. And this field isn't some thing living in space-time, it's the generative rule that weaves space-time itself into existence.
All right, if the universe doesn't start with particles and energy, what's its foundation? Well, according to SGP, the starting point for everything is almost unbelievably simple. It's not a big bang, it's just a number.
The entire framework is built on a single axiom, a finite number called Q, the finite qualic quota. Okay, so qualia are like the most basic ingredients of experience, the redness of red, the coldness of cold. Q is the universe's total, unchangeable budget for how many distinct types of these experiences can possibly exist. And the word finite is absolutely key here, because you can't optimize a system that has infinite resources. A finite budget forces the system to find creative solutions. So from this one resource, the single number, the entire mind-boggling complexity of reality, I'm talking from the spin of an electron to the way galaxies cluster together, all of it has to be generated. And to do that, the SGP needs a kind of mathematical engine, a cosmic loom, if you will. So how in the world do you get from a single number to the rich, structured universe we all live in? Well, the theory proposes a mathematical engine that is just brilliant at creating immense complexity from an incredibly simple start.
That tool comes from a branch of math called number theory. Don't let the name scare you. The idea is simple. The Hardy-Ramanujan partition function basically calculates all the ways a number can be written as a sum of smaller numbers. For example, the number 4 can be broken up in 5 ways. You got 4, 3 plus 1, 2 plus 2, 2 plus 1 plus 1, and 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Now imagine doing that for an astronomically large number q. This function generates this vast landscape of all possible ways the universe's total experience budget can be divided up, and each one of those partitions is a potential reality.
And this table lays out the whole process. It's like a cosmic recipe. Step 1, you start with your finite budget Q. Step 2, the partition function generates all the possible ways you can slice it up. Step 3 defines the properties of those slices in terms of coherence and fertility, which we're going to dive into next. Step 4, that's the engine. It's an optimization rule that's looking for the absolute best balance between those two things. Step 5 is how it evolves towards that perfect state. And then finally, step 6, the most stable, most optimized configurations that emerge. Those are what we perceive as physical fields. You see? They're the final output, not the starting input.
Okay, so the universe is constantly optimizing itself. But what is it optimizing for? What makes one version of reality better than another? Well, SGP says there's a master rule, and it comes from this fundamental tension between two opposing cosmic drives.
The first drive is for coherence. This is the force of stability, of order, of memory. It's the reason patterns can persist through time. I mean, without coherence, atoms would just fall apart, galaxies would fly everywhere, and physical laws would change from one moment to the next. It's really the universe's drive to just hold itself together.
And pushing against that is the drive for fertility. This is the engine of novelty, of complexity, of creativity. It's the cosmic push towards new structures, new information, new possibilities. Fertility is what allows for the evolution of life, consciousness, and just the ever-increasing complexity we see all around us.
So this is the cosmic balancing act. The master rule of reality is to find a configuration that maximizes both coherence and fertility. Think about it. Too much coherence, and you get a boring, frozen, static universe. Too much fertility, and you just get meaningless chaos. Our universe, though, which is teeming with life, but also governed by stable laws, seems to exist right on that perfect, creative edge.
Now this is a beautiful, really compelling story, but is it just a neat philosophical idea, or is it an actual, testable scientific hypothesis? Well, the people behind SGP ran a massive computational simulation to find out.
The experiment was pretty straightforward, actually. They simulated 60,000 different universes. In each one, they randomly tweaked the values for 14 of the fundamental constants of nature. Then, they scored every single one of these universes on its capacity to support both coherence and fertility. The big question was, in this huge landscape of possible realities, where does our own universe fit in?
And the result is, well, it's pretty striking. You look at this landscape of possible realities, and most of the simulated universes are sterile, or they're chaotic, or both. But that gold star, that's us. That represents the physical constants of our universe. It doesn't fall somewhere in the mediocre middle, it sits right on the optimal frontier. This narrow peak where the potential for both stable structure and complex novelty is cranked all the way up to max.
And this chart reveals something absolutely crucial. It plots the maximum possible fertility you can get for any given amount of coherence. And you see that dramatic cliff? The potential for life and complexity, that's fertility, it only skyrockets after you reach a really high threshold of stability. In other words, you have to build a coherent foundation of physical laws before you can build anything interesting. This actually confirms a key prediction of the theory, that ours is a coherence-first universe.
So, what are the odds? What's the probability our universe would land in this exquisitely fine-tuned spot just by random chance? The simulation actually gives us a number.
Yeah, that p-value translates to a chance of about 1 in 110,000. I mean, the statistical odds are just staggering. What this suggests is that our universe's life-permitting properties probably aren't some lucky accident. They might be a predictable outcome of an optimization principle that's literally woven into the fabric of reality.
This leads to a really profound reimagining of what the universe even is. The theory puts it like this: reality is not a mechanism running on energy. It is a meaning engine running on coherence. The cosmos isn't just a blind machine. It's a self-organizing system that's creating meaning by balancing stability with creativity.
And if this theory, or even something close to it, is true, if the universe really is some kind of sentient, self-optimizing engine that's generating meaning through its own evolution,
well, it leaves us with what might just be the biggest question of all. What is the meaning it's trying to create?